Okay, in today's interview, we are talking to the fourth highest account by value on Top Shot. I'm talking about the great Alexo. He was one of the first collectors on the platform. He collected everything on CryptoKitties and he collects everything on Top Shot. Literally everything. He owns one of every single moment on the platform and he's completed every single challenge on the platform. We talk about all that. We talk about what he looks for, interesting things he likes to collect on Top Shot and also off of Top Shot. We talk about his life before Top Shot and some of the projects that he works on aside from Top Shot. He's a really unique character. I really enjoyed getting to know him better, and I think you will too. So let's jump right into this interview. Okay, well, welcome, Alexo. I'm really happy to have you on here. You are one of the top account holders on Top Shot. You are one of the people in that top list. You're number 4 currently. So we all get to cry into our beer when we see how many moments and how much value you have. But good for you, man. You are here early, and I'm super happy that you're here with me today.
I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to chat.
Great. So first of all, Alexo, how do you pronounce that? What's the proper pronunciation of the name Alexo?
It's it's up to the beholder. It's just been a name that I've used for decades for digital purposes, so I've never really had to say it out loud. I guess in my head I spell it out, but that's a mouthful. Um, but yeah, up until recently, no one's really tried to say it. So
Is there any meaning
uh,
behind it? Is it like XO, like hugs and kisses?
sure, that's up to the beholder too. But no, I was just when I was younger, I was looking for a unique username that wasn't often taken. My real name's Alex, and that's always taken. And
Okay, well,
all
see,
the
there's
variations of that. Yeah.
I would say that's a pretty good explanation. My name is Alex, and it's kind of close, isn't it?
Yep. Close enough, and it's unique enough that hopefully it's not taken on most platforms. But
Gotcha.
I've had mixed
And
luck.
no, well, maybe now people will start nabbing it in case you decide to buy it from someone. You know, they had that name tag thing on Twitter. I bet you someone owns it if you don't, and they're probably going to want to sell it to you later. Um,
Yeah, I've actually connected with that person on Twitter who has that tag, and because people accidentally tag them all the time now, and they've actually gotten into Top Shot a little bit in NFTs because of it. So that's really fun. But yeah, it's their handle. So
are
if
they
they
trying?
want
Are they
to,
trying to sell it to you now?
no, I haven't made any offers either way. But if we can work something out, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, so name tag Alexo, if you're listening. Uh,
They've already had they've already been harassed enough on accident. So
okay. So one question that I thought would be interesting to ask you is just what your life was like before Top Shot. I know were into CryptoKitties as well, but I'm actually curious, even before that, like what were you doing before you were playing around in online NFTs?
um, I've always been a gamer since I was a kid. So always um, playing video games in my free time. Um, I'm kind of a Nintendo fanboy, so just getting all their new consoles, all their flagship IPs, I'm all for. Um, which now I don't spend as much time because I know all that time I put into it doesn't translate to like a token that I can like hold forever. So it's hard to compete with NFTs now. But yeah, and then outside of gaming, I got into software, and I've been a professional software developer for uh, 10 to 12 years.
Did you
Um,
build anything cool, like any software, any pet projects?
Mostly I just joined full-time jobs, like just industry. I spent a good amount of that time at Microsoft, contributing to their massive empire. And I worked on a couple startups, um, just working on your standard websites and internal tools and yeah, just more business focused.
Gotcha. So nothing too like exciting, nothing Nintendo like. But I will say that I thought, and this is kind of an aside, but I thought that the Nintendo Wii U is one of the most underrated systems ever released because the Nintendo Wii U gave you a second screen that you could play on, and you could do games where you like put the zombies around the player in the room, and you are like the master zombie king. And no other
Yep.
system has ever done that. And I think that's a
Yep.
shame.
It was really innovative, and I was waiting if it stuck around a little longer. I bet they were going to release all the DS games because you could play the dual screen games on that too. But yeah, maybe people will look back on it better in the future, like they've adopted the GameCube because that kind of had a similar fate at the time. It was underappreciated.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was the last console that I owned. And then I had a child and now I don't play video games, but I spend my free time as well, like doing online NFT stuff now. So
Mhm.
all right. So I guess that gives people a little bit of an idea of who you are before this online stuff. And like I said, you first got into CryptoKitties. I'm curious about first of all, how did you get into CryptoKitties? That's an interesting question, I think. And were you as big of like an enthusiast into CryptoKitties as you are now into Top Shot?
Yeah. So when CryptoKitties launched, I was day trading all these various cryptocurrencies. It was back when there was this big boom in 2017 of an ICO every couple days, or actually multiple ICOs per day, and just scrambling, figuring out what everything was and day trading. And then I saw these headlines of CryptoKitties. Uh, kind of the first time this, I think this was even before the word NFT was coined. Um, Even though I think in the contract they they did write non-fungible token. So I think with CryptoKitties is when the term NFT was coined. But yeah, I just heard people were trading these cats like crazy, and so I jumped in and um, tried to collect some cats. It was really hard because the network was crashed. I think at the time it was using up like a third of all of Ethereum's resources, and it was just grinding to a halt. Every transaction would be um, so much money. I think comparable to what we're seeing now on Ethereum, where every transaction is a lot. But back then, the transaction fees were usually low. Um, but CryptoKitties just went viral overnight. So I got into that, bought it at that first peak, um, and then kind of went away for a few months. And then after it kind of settled down and gas fees are reasonable, I got back into it and started breeding and playing the game that they have with it, which was they would release these recipes every week for these new fancy cats. So um, both individually and with a team, I would do these challenges where you try to breed that particular set of traits faster than anyone else, so you can get the number one fancy. Um, yeah, so
I assume
and I
you
did, and yeah, that was kind of my favorite thing to do for a couple of years there. And yeah, so to answer the other part of the question is, yeah, I was into it just as much as Top Shot, and that's where I got to know the team. And um, during that time, they also released Cheese Wizards, and they announced this big license that they got with the NBA, and that was really exciting.
cool.
So it's
And
it's been fun watching them develop from a team of a couple people to where they are now.
and I assume that you were one of the top accounts then on CryptoKitties. You were minting these number ones and like putting all your mental energy into just dominating the way you are also doing the same thing on Top Shot. Would that be a correct assumption?
Yeah, there's some leaderboards there. I think I'm in the top 5 or 10 there as well. So I'm holding. Um,
Oh, so
yeah,
that's
they're
it.
always my they're always my original, and technically they are the original NFT. So I think there's going to be value in those long term, especially when people find them. But yeah, I think they have really big historical relevance.
And so you're diamond handing like every possible crypto kitty the same way that you're diamond handing every possible moment in Top Shot.
Yeah, although I did sell some cats to buy some packs. Um, just because last year there were just packs not selling, and um, I don't know. I was addicted, so I got desperate, and I even sold some cats, even though I wanted to hold those too.
All right, well, you gotta, make some trades in life.
Yeah.
And were there any users that you were close with? Like you said, you would trade in teams on CryptoKitties. Did those users come with you into Top Shot? Do you still have relationships with people that you were tight with in CryptoKitties, and now you guys are doing the same thing in Top Shot?
Yeah, I'd say majority of the people who were really into CryptoKitties jumped in to both Cheese Wizards and Top Shot. And then, yeah, since then, I mean, none of us are really big NBA fans when that started. So since then, some of us have become big NBA fans and have doubled down, and some people aren't so much into NBA and took some profits. So um, and moved on to different interests.
Gotcha. And you mentioned that you were day trading in like ICOs. Are you aware of the general NFT environment right now? I would imagine that you are. And do you think that there's similarities there between these ICOs that were sprouting up and people aping in? Because it seems like the same thing is happening right now with NFT projects. We're seeing like 20 NFT projects per day, and some of them go absolutely insane and others don't. And if so, is there a part of you that wants to be day trading those NFT projects?
Yeah, I've never really thought about that, but yeah, that's exactly right. I can see so many parallels between that ICO rush of 2017 and these profile picture NFTs of today. Well, um, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of opportunity there. It doesn't interest me as much. There was a reason I stopped doing that day trading and jumped into CryptoKitties, because I saw that there was a way I could invest, but also like um, also have the gaming side of it. So I can have some, yeah, at the very worst, if my investment doesn't work out, I can at least have some entertainment out of it. So ever since then, I've kind of moved away from day trading. So same thing with these profile picture projects. I haven't uh, been too interested in them, just because it it's more like trading the fungible cryptos or stocks, and I'd rather have tokens that have some either a game in development or a game that's already out.
Yeah. I actually tried buying into you talked about it, what was the other Dapper project, like the Pokemon? There was an
Oh yeah,
alpha.
it's on Flow. Yeah, it's not Dapper, but it is on Flow.
Okay, okay.
Chain
Chain
monsters.
Monsters. Are you feeling pretty good about that? Because I couldn't quite figure out getting my money in time. I had to go like to somebody's party or something, and I just gave up. But what do you think about that project?
Um, yeah, I'm really excited about it. They just teased a brand new 3D modeling
I saw
that
that.
they're doing. So they've completely transformed from 2D pixels all the way to 3D in the past year. The Kickstarter was back in November, so it's been, yeah, it's been something I've been anticipating for quite a while, and
But
games
to,
like that take a long time, so it could be a ways out before.
but to have success in
But
a game like that, that involves a lot of hours per day, no? Of like being part of the game. Whereas something like CryptoKitties or Top Shot, you sort of purchase what you need and let it sit. And would that be the right thing to assume?
yeah, I think the more gamification, I think if you want to get the value out of the game, I think it does require a large time commitment, but that's kind of what I'm looking for. And I think and yeah, and I think Top Shot I think will get there too. I mean, you can still invest and just hold and not play the game hardcore or whatever. But I think there will be an entry point for gamers to build value that way too. So I guess there's a whole economy you can, and we've seen it with other games like the Axie Infinity, where you have, I guess, managers and that are sponsoring people to play on their behalf. So I think we can see that in Top Shot. We can see that in Chain Monsters. So yeah, there's room for investors, collectors, and gamers alike.
Yeah, I'm someone who just thinks there's only so many hours in a day. Like I can't see myself being super involved in multiple games like this. But anyhow, so to finish,
It is overwhelming. So I
yeah,
think I'm gonna have to hit a wall at some point.
exactly. So just to close out on CryptoKitties, there was a time in CryptoKitties where I understood that there was too many kitties and people were complaining that there was oversaturation and people and the values were getting hit. Um, is that the case? And what is your outlook, I guess, on CryptoKitties? And the reason I'm asking you that too is because I want to know if you felt the same way in after February on Top Shot.
Yeah. Yeah, Dapper kind of has a different approach with their projects where it's not a fixed supply. There's always going to be more supply so that there's entry points to hit the mainstream. Their goal is to get the blockchain in the hands of 1 billion people. So you're going to have millions of tokens to get there. However, within those tokens, there are fixed sets. Like CryptoKitties, there's 100 founders, just the first 100 tokens. That's never gonna grow. So you can even look at that as its own NFT project. Is CryptoKitties Founders is a project with only 100 NFTs. The Swish Fancy, for example, is one I have in my profile picture, and there's only 2,880 of those ever. So if you look at those as like their own scarcity, there's some value there. And then, yeah, the gaming aspect of it is you can keep breeding and finding mixtures that you really want to collect, and that'll increase the supply and allow anyone to get 2 cats and build out their cat family. So, and then that's really analogous to Top Shot. There's no breeding, but they're going to constantly be adding new content, and I'm guessing as more people join, the content or the supply will just grow exponentially to keep up with the demand. But that just keeps the prices of the new stuff coming out low. I guess the theory is that older sets that are limited edition have a fixed amount. Their scarcity doesn't change. So you get more people joining the platform. They start out with these Series 3 or whatever, whenever they join Series 4. And they can see these more scarce sets from these previous series, and that'll add more interest to those more limited sets. So yeah, I prefer their model over the just fixed supply.
Yeah, I see that perspective. I think in the case of Top Shot, and I don't know if this is what happened in CryptoKitties though, I think for people who were not holding maybe the most premier stuff, like I guess a good example for Top Shot is like the people that were holding the 15K and the 35K circulation, when that 40K came and lots of it was because there was an assumption that there was a ton of demand, when in I think reality there was not as much demand as there were sort of rent seekers, as they're called. So I think that to me was kind of like I guess the negative way of looking at what happened with the supply and demand. But in general, I'd agree with you. Like you need entry points for everybody. I don't disagree with that.
Sorry, I'm
So
moving rooms here.
that's all good. Yeah, you kind of look like a hologram or something when the sun hits you. So The one actually question I wanted to ask you is you seem like a very kind of chill personality, very like calm. Like people think I'm calm and measured. I think you are like an extra. I'm like a base calm and measured. You're more like a legendary calm and measured. Um, wait, so how does that jive with your personality when you were day trading crypto and when you were like aping into Top Shot? Like how quickly were you aping into Top Shot when you seem like this kind of measured, thoughtful person?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stoic figures in this industry, but I think looks are deceiving underneath the surface. It's just all panic and FOMO. So
Right.
yeah, I just FOMO is I'm probably the most susceptible to it.
Okay.
So
So that's a good answer. Um, the other question I had for you, okay, this is a fun one. So somebody on Twitter, Dave P NFT, said that you had something called a math challenge. And Coach McGurk, the famous emoji creator who made your background, he said that the winner of this math challenge received an entire Cool Cat set. So I'm very curious about this. Please tell me about this math challenge.
yes, so about a year and a half ago, I was playing around with um, contracts, like writing contracts on Ethereum, and uh, just for fun, I was trying to think of the simplest kind of game someone can build on Ethereum, and um, I made that what I thought would be the simplest, and I called it math, and I deployed the contract, and then I minted 1 through 100 to keep in my wallet as like uh, the initial supply. Um, and then I started advertising it out. And what people can do is take two numbers that exist and combine them together to mint a new NFT. That's the sum of the two, as long as that sum doesn't exist.
Mm.
And you pay like 0.002 ETH, and 0.001 goes to the owner of one token, the 0.001 goes to the other owner. Um, and if you start building up your collection, you can just start adding your own numbers together, and then that ETH just comes back to you, and you're just paying gas essentially, because there's no like royalties or fees other than the Ethereum gas fees. Um, so anyway, that branched out a couple like sequel projects, um, like one where you can stack your math tokens into like these um, colored um, pictures, because each math token is like 256 bits, which you can arrange into 16 by 16 pixel art. So I did this RGB project where you can stack them up and make them different colors, and people are making like pixel art of Mario and Link and
Hmm.
other creative stuff. Um, but anyway, a few months back, I wanted to revive that project or get some excitement around it, so I introduced these math challenges. And the first one I gave away a LeBron All-Star Game moment, I think it was.
Wow.
And it was actually Alan who won it because he has like 10% of the math tokens. So he had a pretty good chance of hitting it. And um, the winner was provably uh, randomly determined. I picked some date in the future. I picked a block on Ethereum from the future. And then whenever that block hit, it revealed like the key that you wouldn't, there's no way of knowing in advance. And whoever got closest to that number wins. Um, so then I did a follow up about a month after that, where the winner won a whole cool cat set right before the challenge ended. So it was the 29 moments.
Wow.
And it was another person from the CryptoKitty community, because they were also, I think they also have another 10% of the math tokens. So yeah, that was fun. And for the next round, I think I'll do something different besides the random number. Maybe something that you can predict ahead of time, but no one has minted it yet. So like there could be a race to a certain number. So that's imminent. I'll probably do that sometime this week.
Okay.
But the challenge is it is on Ethereum, and so minting a token is not the best right now.
Yeah.
So I'll have to make sure the reward is worth the risk.
Well, it's very kind. So it almost seems like the moral of the story is you have to be an early adopter who owns 10% of the numbers if you want to win this thing.
Yeah, because even back then it was expensive to mint like 100 numbers. Because the reason they had so many numbers is because they were building up the right set of pixels so that they can compose them into like these 16 by 16 pixel arts. So it ended up taking lots of big numbers to make those happen. But yeah, even then when gas was like 1 or 2 GUI or whatever,
Yeah.
it still added up pretty quickly.
So now it's going to add up a whole lot. I haven't seen gas go lower than like 30 in probably 2 weeks.
Yeah, someone messaged me about a week ago saying they were trying to build a new I call them RGB tokens, those ones that you stack the math to do the colored picture. Because there's a red layer, a green layer, and a blue layer. They were trying to make one, and they'd planned out all the math additions that they would have to add. I think it ended up being like 100 transactions. And it was going to be at like 1.5 ETH in gas just to make it, just to get the number they needed to make the token.
As a software guy, do you have any insight into this whole gas issue? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think Ethereum 2.0 is coming? Do you think someone else is going to come and eat Ethereum's lunch, like Solana or Cardano? Or what do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, they've been working on transitioning to proof of stake, as far as I know. So it's just, I imagine it's a lot of work to plan out that transition and migrate this entire platform over to a whole different paradigm. But I guess in the meantime, that gives a lot of room for Solana or Cardano, but I'm rooting for Flow.
Of course.
Dapper Labs blockchain. So, and I think they're well positioned to especially for NFTs right now. It's there's lots of projects coming to Flow. So
cool. And speaking of transactions on Ethereum, last night you put up a photo of yourself in what looked like a Swedish headdress, but I think that was just your hair braided, and like foliage around and foliage around the edges. And you put it up for sale for 1,000 Ethereum. How many glasses of wine did you consume before putting that online?
Yeah, well, I didn't have any wine yesterday, but I like we talked about earlier, despite the stoic outside, there's a bunch of panic and anxiety on the inside. So I do have prescriptions for some like tranquilizers. So I had one of those, which I don't think had an influence on this, but maybe it did. But it was more of a joke or a meme, I guess, just which is part of NFTs. So just had this idea where I would put this NFT up and list it for $1,000, and the name of the token is how I made 1,000 ETH selling JPEGs. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe someone will buy it.
And yeah, you're exactly right. That is my hair braided up. I think my sister braided it for me, like on I think this was Thanksgiving last year, and that's why I put the leaves around it. And it's almost that season again, so I thought it would work.
Yeah, it reminded me of the movie Midsummer. You looked like someone who belongs in that movie. Do
Thank
you
you.
have like Swedish background in your family or no?
Um, I did do a DNA test last year. I can't remember how much Swedish was in there. I think there was definitely some, but yeah, my family's been in the Pacific Northwest for generations, so
Fair enough. It's
not in a
Portland.
long time.
It's Washington, Portland, large tree DNA.
Yep,
All
exactly.
right. Well, I'm sure that's the content that this Top Shot faithful are just dying to hear. But if we go, let's take it over back to Top Shot for a second. I see that you are buying a lot of interesting plays on Top Shot. In fact, I was featured on the Moment a couple of weeks back, and they were looking at like the top plays of the week, the moments that were rising in value, and everyone was scratching their head that Marcus Smart's S1 block was like the top gainer, and then like I think Justin clicked it, and it was like, oh, it's Alexo. It was literally just like 20 sales that you had just purchased. So I'm curious, what is your play there? You're just very much attracted, it seems, to these strange moments. What is the reason?
So that one I like a lot. Well, I've kind of fallen in love with the play itself too, as as a secondary benefit. I like these kind of chase down blocks, especially when it's in clutch time of the game. And that was, and that particular play was the one that kind of locked them in for the Eastern Conference Finals
Mm.
uh, during that playoffs. So that was a great moment on its own. But then uh, when I first got in, the reason I started stacking them is just because um, a few of us noticed early on that there was a mistake with that moment. All of the player information on it isn't Marcus Smart's, it's actually Jaylen Brown's. So if you look at that moment, it's got Jaylen Brown's jersey number, it's got his height, weight, draft year, birth date. So it's kind of like, I see it as like a modern day misprint. So I think it's unique. I think in the future, even if only a few people think it's unique, that adds value.
Okay,
Uh, yeah.
fair enough. And actually, I was going to ask you that. That's a good question. I mean, obviously, you're a big time collector. Were you collecting things before digital collectibles? Do you have like a carton full of Beanie Babies in your basement?
Yep. Yep. I've always been a collector. I do have Beanie Babies. I had Pokemon cards. I have basketball cards. Video games. I've never really sold them. I have all my old video games from all the different generations of consoles.
Are they like perfectly boxed? Do you have any that are like still shrink wrapped?
No, I like the utility too. So
Okay, exactly.
uh, so keeping sealed packs is something new for me because
Mm,
I've always opened them, but trying something different now.
okay. And Pokemon, do you have any of those Charizards that are worth like $75 million?
No, I just have the standard edition. I don't have the first edition. I guess I was late.
Okay, well, that was
I was too
one
late when I was
situation.
12. Yeah.
Okay, another question about things that I'm seeing that you're buying. I took a peek today. I see you're buying a lot of fandom moments. You're buying a whole lot of Isaac Okoro's. I know I didn't keep looking to see if you're also buying like lots of Bol Bols and RJ Hamptons, but is there something you're thinking in particular about this fandom tier?
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit unique with this summer league. It's the first time there's this summer series. Um, it looks like the summer league set's only going to be these 5 moments,
Mhm.
which is which makes it the most accessible set for set collectors. And and they're the first moments of this new tier, this Phantom tier. So, and then there's historical value to it too, being the first moment sold in real life. Um, so I like all that. Um, and then the Okoro, they decided to make this change where these quest rewards are now the same as a challenge reward. So there's a little bit of extra collector score, and I like stacking that.
Hold on.
And then
you wait, whoa. You want to stack collector score when you have like a collector score of like 3.5 million or something? Why?
so I don't know. I always wanted the high score. Why not?
You must have the highest collector score on the platform, though. You have to.
Mhm. Yeah.
So are you worried that someone might start creeping up on you? Like who's number two?
I think Veerman Steve is him or the whale account.
Gotcha. So you got to just
Um,
keep the foot on the pedal
yeah,
there. You got to make sure they never catch up.
exactly. Because you can see now Orlando Magic is collecting moments. You got Dangling who might start getting back into Top Shot, and um, I think I saw him reply to some on the moment tweet about that new feature where it shows set completions, saying that oh, oh man, you guys are gonna make me buy all these now. So I got I gotta keep the competition on their toes.
Fair enough.
And just a higher number. Who doesn't want a higher score when you're I don't know. The collector score made it just added this game element, which brings out the competitiveness, which
Gotcha.
I like. But yeah, but the reason I keep buying more of those Isaacs and Bulbuls is just because I'm noticing near the floor there's a lot of interesting serial numbers, like Isaac's jersey number is 35, and I'm seeing at the floor there's lots of serial numbers that end in 35. So
Mhm.
I'm just scooping those up. It's not actually the jersey number, but it's got the jersey number in the serial number, so I think it's worth $7. And then Bulbul, I got into this habit of, well, it wasn't a habit, but I noticed there were a lot of people listing moments that ended in 00 in the serial number. So I collect a couple of those, and um, then I just kept going. So I think I got like 6 of those now.
So
Um,
is your idea that in the future someone else might value this and buy it from you? Or is your idea more like, I am just a completionist and I want this in my personal stash?
it's more, yeah, I guess a little bit of both. I'm fine keeping them forever. I like them, and these interesting and all these different ways of collecting. I like dabbling in all of them. But then also, I feel strongly that people are undervaluing some of these, so can't let that slide.
Gotcha.
Um,
Got to
and
sweep that
then,
floor.
but yeah, if there's someone in the future who values them more than me, they can have them. But I think it's a high bar.
Okay. Um, so I wanted to ask you, so I actually got into Top Shot. I made my largest purchases on February 22nd. So,
Perfect.
so that was the worst
Well done.
possible timing.
Don't worry, I was buying still then too. You didn't know when it was going to stop
No,
going. So
I know. It's just kind of all a matter of timing in life, unfortunately. It's a lot of luck involved in all
mhm.
this. But I wanted to ask that as you, as an early adopter who had seen what happened with CryptoKitties as well, who was aware of how ICOs worked and how ICOs pumped and fell and things like that, was there a part of you that saw the graph or the chart of Top Shot in February and you saw how fast that was going up? Was there a part of you that was thinking, okay, this is probably not going to continue, or this is like an unhealthy market? Or were you kind of oblivious and you're just like, I need those bulls that end in 00?
um, yeah, I mean, it was the biggest growth in value I've ever seen by far. Looking at stocks or crypto or anything, so that should have been a sign. But the problem is if it goes up double every day, what day is it not going to double?
But when it started
Because
going the
because
other
because because
direction,
because I because you could see it doubled for 2 days. And, all right, you're 4x up, and a lot of people did sell, and I could have sold, but then it doubled. Another 7 days in a row. So, but then it didn't, and then eventually it didn't anymore. So, um, it was just about timing, but then yeah, I decided to stick with it. I liked the collection I had, and I knew I wasn't going to time the market right. So instead of selling at the wrong time and beating myself up, I just ride it out, wait for a stable growth sometime down the
Yeah.
line.
And
Because
also I
that was way
imagine,
that was way sooner than I expected anyway. So it wasn't like because you could see it doubled for 2 days. And, all right, you're 4x up, and a lot of people did sell, and I could have sold, but then it doubled, another 7 days in a row. So, but then it didn't, and then eventually it didn't anymore. So um, it was just about timing, but then um, yeah, I decided to stick with it. I liked the collection I had, and I knew I wasn't going to time the market right. So instead of selling at the wrong time and beating myself up, I just ride it out, wait for a stable growth sometime down the line. Because that was that was way sooner than I expected anyway. So it wasn't like I
hmm,
was planning on selling this decade anyway. So just it was just a fun ride to watch, I
okay.
guess.
Well, I think it was fun for you because you got in like day zero. So like it's like someone who buys Bitcoin when it's like $2. You're like, oh no, it's no longer 60,000, it's 35, whatever. Um, I imagine that's kind of how you were feeling. Uh, and I also imagine that when you were doing the ICO stuff, that was that was more like volatile, I guess, in your position. Because would that be the correct assumption? Because you probably weren't getting in super early on these ICOs. You were more like swing trading, day trading. Whereas Top Shot, you literally were in there in like day one. So there was less of like anxiety about that. Would that be a correct assumption?
Yeah. But yeah, this is all still a volatile market. Who knows what could happen with regulations and external factors that can make this all disappear overnight. But to me, it's worth the risk. Like all the profits I have are just unrealized. So um, I think I would regret selling more and missing out on like this, revolution or um, this change in culture to this new technology. Or I guess I'd regret that more than if this crashed and burned. So
Fair enough. But you don't have to be 100 or zero at the same time. You could sell a few bowls and buy an office chair.
I could get an office chair. Um, maybe next year. Maybe next year.
Okay. And then during the, I guess, Top Shot winter, um, have you just been buying the whole time? Peak, Valley. Have you just been having the same approach the entire time?
Pretty much, yeah. Whenever I have um, some disposable income, I'll put it on Top Shot. But very early on, I already went all in, so it was hard to come by additional income. Like I took out additional loans to
Oh
keep
man.
buying packs, and yeah, like I said, I sold some cats,
But
and
are you still paying interest on like loans because you don't want to sell your moments?
yeah, credit cards too.
My God. Why don't you just take a little bit off the top? No one's telling
I
you to
actually,
sell your whole account.
I know. I actually did. I have a deposit on the way to pay those
Right.
credit
I'm
cards
glad to
off.
hear that.
So, but yeah,
Um,
that credit card interest is brutal, and it's been stacking up for a whole year now. So
yeah, so
it,
I
that's
hope
that's a relief. But
good, good. I'm very happy to hear that.
but I don't know. Worst case, I just keep working and I can pay this off
For sure, for
eventually.
sure.
So
Hmm. Um, and then real quickly about the just market in general. I know that you said the other day that you think like it is still to come. I was wondering if there's any other feelings you have about that, like what you think is going to come. Do you think it's hardcore? Do you think it's the in-person utility? Do you think it's something that we're not even thinking about?
Yeah, I think it's mostly something we're not even thinking about yet. Yeah, and it's just, this is just the Wild West and uncharted territory. So I think once, yeah, like the hardcore and the in stadium or in arena utility are going to be huge in getting out of beta and all that. I think that'll get, well, that'll bring in I think a wave. I think so. You have millions of people on the platform, and that'll just bring out so much innovation, because it's not only Dapper at that point providing utility. We've already seen with the smaller community that we have all these additional utilities and tools built around it, like moment ranks on the moment, evaluate market, all these things. It's just going to cause a bunch of innovators to come out and come up with ideas we've never seen and take it to the next level. And I
Yeah.
don't know what that is.
Yeah. And do you think that when we have it, do you think, are you foreseeing that you think that the market will still be like in a healthy place and not in a place like we were in February when it went to the moon and all of a sudden the floor price of like an S2 is like $50 or whatever it was? Are you pretty confident that we won't see that same issue again?
No. I think it's just human nature to to have those waves in the market cycle. So you'll have times of hype and times of cool down. I don't know.
But as a
There's not many
programmer,
markets out there that are stable.
sure. But as a programmer, do you think, and I've actually said this before, and it's probably just my like assumptions here, but do you think there's ways if you are Dapper that you can almost anticipate or see like we have many moments, this many millions of moments, this much user base. When we put a new kiosk in New York City, we predict that the user base is going to go up by this much, and therefore we need to make sure we have this many moments and not just like, oh, there's a lot of people saying when packs 50 million moments, go for it. You know what I mean? Like, do you think that they can be more strategic and specific in that way? Or do you think that's not possible? And what you're saying is like, we're just going to have these swings randomly depending on who shows
Yeah.
up.
Well, I mean, I guess there would be swings on the existing supply because that's all limited now. But yeah, certainly they've actually have the capability of predicting the growth rate going forward now that they have a team that can focus on that. But for Series 1 and Series 2, they didn't have enough
Exactly.
people to even think about that stuff. So
Exactly. And that's why my impression is that we won't see another crash like we saw in February, because that was like an overcorrection. And, obviously it was like an unhealthy market. It was an overcorrection. And now they have all this data and they have all these moments that I think we're not going to see something like that again. But it seems like you're not willing to give a clear agreement on that.
well, you make some good points. I mean, I might be persuaded a little bit that now that there's more supply out there, that kind of prevents the volatility we saw, because in February there weren't that many moments, and then this large wave of people came in, just took it over. So yeah, I think we have a little bit of buffer from huge gains and huge losses. That's a good point. And then, but now, and then going forward, I think they can kind of manage the supply with the incoming demand. But still, Series 1 and Series 2 are limited. So if we get to a point where it's just so many people, those could go through huge cycles. Like 16 million moments between Series 1 and Series 2 seems like a lot now, but maybe it isn't. And that can go through some, that still has the capability of going through some big moves. Because yeah, Series 1, when it, through February, when it was exploding, was about 1 million moments. So we've just gone from 1 million to 16 million. So it's just one order of magnitude. So you can imagine that getting overwhelmed
Yeah,
at
for
some point
sure.
too.
I think those limited circulation moments for sure could see just amazing spikes, no question. Those are, but as long as there's like floor moments, then I feel like we're in a healthy place.
For sure.
And
That's a good point.
I know you're a competitive guy, and you want to make sure you have the highest collector score. So does it bother you that you're only number 4 on the account value? Or I mean, like, how far are you from the whale vault?
I think he's more than double my evaluation. So just had to let that ship sail. Um, maybe I had a chance early on to sell more cats and overtake him, but who not? But he's got more to put in, so I just can't compete.
I think it's multiple people too,
For
but
yeah, for me it's like 90% of my value in Top Shot, or 90% of my wealth is in Top Shot. So, or maybe even more now, because of the growth. But
right.
um, yeah, for that group or that person or that group, that's just a piece of their portfolio,
For sure.
a small
Um,
piece.
so part of that's a good question to segue to, which is that I know you've said over and over that you're like an absolute bull, you're an absolute diamond hander, forever holder. Um, and you said on the other podcast with the judge that like maybe you take out 1% of your value if you were to 10x your current value of your
Mhm.
account. So I guess my question is like, do you have like an end goal in mind? Like, do you just want to give like your great grandchildren like the sickest LeBron James Top Shot portfolio? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think passing them on would be fun, and telling the story of this journey we're all on. It would be really cool. But then also just enjoying them for the rest of my life, and whatever utility and experiences come out of them.
Fair enough.
So, I, yeah, I guess that is the end goal. I mean, I guess I could sell for something else, but I can't think of anything else I'd want to collect more right now.
I mean, do you ever think about the fact that you could like cash out a percentage of your account and like never have to work again? Or does that not interest you?
I guess that's where the 10x comes in. If it 10x's and I take out that 1%, that I think that might do it. So, and then I can still enjoy my collection.
And what would you do if you never had to work again?
Then I might actually be able to play all these games that I've been collecting tokens for, because the games are all coming and I don't know where I have the time. And maybe I can get back to building too. Like I built some projects we talked about on Ethereum. I'd love to keep building.
All right. Well, that's a good answer. Um, I mean, I'd encourage you to go enjoy that Pacific Northwest nature as well. Don't just.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure.
Hopefully, those games are mobile.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
And then I guess a couple more questions, and then I'll let you go. Which is, first of all, what kind of advice do you have for collectors at different budgets? So, like your newbie collector comes to Top Shot today, doesn't want to spend more than like $200. What should that person be buying, in your opinion?
Yeah, I guess first thing is just learn the ropes around like how the distribution model works, because that was one area where a lot of people got uh, saw some losses, is buying a moment when only like 10% of the supply is out. So yeah, if you're interested in a particular player, check out their moments. Look, there's a graph on that page that shows how many are currently in packs, currently distributed, and how many more will come. And if it's a CC, it could be unlimited. So keep that in mind too. Um, but other than that, collect your favorite team. There's already been so many signs that they're going to continue to double down on that for contests and experiences and potentially game utility. And the community has really embraced that, I think, over the past couple of weeks. And then, yeah, beyond that, after you get your favorite team, maybe check out the sets that you've started from the packs you've gotten and that whole team that you got, and then maybe try to fill out those sets, because I think there's going to be a lot of good experiences coming out of those too.
And so then would your advice for someone with higher budgets, like a medium level guy who's got $1,000 or a degen who wants to spend $20,000, is your advice pretty much the same for all those people? Or are you telling some people
Yeah,
like,
I guess that's just general advice. But yeah, I guess if you're just starting out, common, there's nothing wrong with the common moments. They're still scarce. They're still valuable assets. And then, yeah, mid-level, do the same thing, but maybe with the rare tier, and high tier, try the legendaries out.
for sure.
But I guess for the upper end, I would say maybe mix out the different tiers, because the high end could go asymptotic and go to the moon. But also there's not going to be as many people that's going to be out of range for a lot of people. So
Right.
you might see something different where the commons and rares might have better long-term value, just
Interesting.
because the legendaries are out of reach. But
That's
yeah,
interesting, actually. And I feel
so
like,
I'd say diversify, I guess, just
yeah,
because I think both things could happen. But I don't know at
and
what level.
I feel like you were answering this the other day, actually, but that this is a good question, which is about like liquidity and that kind of thing, which is if you have, let's say, $1,000 and to buy one moment, are you buying, let's say, for example, I was looking earlier today, are you buying like a Jason Tatum debut? Are you buying like a metallic gold of, I can't remember who's $1,000 on a metallic gold right now, but are you buying like the debut? Are you buying the metallic
Damian
gold?
Lillard, for example.
Okay. It's like, is that like an S2 or S1 metallic gold Dame Lillard?
It's
Or,
S2 a challenger award, so it's
all right. So
lower supply.
are you buying that Tatum debut? Are you buying that Dame Lillard metallic gold? Or are you buying like a low tier player legendary?
Oh man. I guess debut, because the more I think about it, the less debuts we're going to see over time. So I think they seem like there's quite a bit of them now, but every series that goes by, there's going to be less and less players that haven't been added. So those will always be the bottleneck.
So even though, oh, I see what you're saying, because there's going to be more MGLEs, more legendaries, but there'll only ever be one debut.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Like they added so many debuts in Series 2 that there's not going to be many to add in Series 3 except for the rookies. And now that they do the run it back, it seems like they're going to do those in the summer series, is my guess. So it doesn't become like the bottleneck like it was with Series 1. If you want to complete Series 1, you got to complete run it back. It seems like now they're moving the run it backs to the summer series, so that those are less of a main series bottleneck, but become a summer bottleneck. So yeah, you might see debuts for old players in the summer, and then during the series, you just see the rookies and maybe a few other players that have been in the league for a while but haven't had a standout moment, so they finally get their first moment, or they're just coming back to the league, but those are going to become less and less. Because once you have your debut, you can't have another one. So
yeah, because I would have thought that like if we take those three examples, the debut of like Jason Tatum, I think it's a 1,500. The MGLE of Dame could be like 499. The legendary could be like 99. So I would think that the lower circulation would potentially be the better buy, because if more and more people want that, there's just going to be none for sale.
yep, yeah, I subscribe to that too. So I guess
But either way, flip a
or,
coin.
or in the same uncertainty. It's just speculation at this point.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
both those
Well,
arguments make sense to me. So
just buy both, buy everything.
I
That seems to
get them
be
both. Exactly.
that seems to be your
That was,
strategy.
you figured me out. I can't decide. So I just, get those loans to get both. Not financial advice, but
Yeah, not financial advice. Do not max out your credit card buying Top Shot moments.
only if you're willing to take the risk, because the risk being lifetime credit card payments.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
that's worth it, then you can be crazy like me, but
Fair
it does
enough.
have some downsides.
Yeah, downsides of like a little bit of unease. But that's okay. You're taking care of that. You're getting rid of some of those balls, and you're going to feel like $1,000,000 after that. So I guess those are all my questions. I don't know if you have anything else you want to touch on. Uh, I'll ask you this community question, and I'll actually add one more community question that I asked last time with Andrew. So unless you have anything extra, I'm going to ask you these two community questions. All right, I think
No,
you're waiting.
I'm just wanted to say I'm a big fan, and
Oh,
thanks
great.
for having me on. Yeah,
Are you checking out the videos? You like them?
I am. Yeah, I'm a
I
big
should
fan.
make a note of that too. You are a very loyal Twitter liker. So thank you for that.
It's really cheap to like something, so why not? And there's
Great.
so much good stuff out there. Why not?
Yeah, well, that's great. It's a very benevolent attitude. Um, so the two questions. The first question is, how dare you? That's from user TS Rye. So how dare you?
I'm doing my best. Doing my best.
Okay, so there you go, TS Rye. And and the second question from last week is, what is your favorite cereal?
I love Honey O's.
Honey O's. So those are not the real Cheerios. You're talking about like the Walgreens bottom of the shelf in the big plastic bag. Honey
No,
O's?
no, they're not a knockoff. They're their own thing.
Honey
But
O's?
yeah, Honey Graham O's. I had to look it up.
Oh,
But
because
but no, they're also known as Honey O's.
Honey
Yeah,
O's.
they're from Post.
Honey
So they're
Graham
not.
O's.
Mhm.
Never heard of them. So are they like graham cracker flavor? But
They're pretty niche. Yeah, because they're not as big as General Mills. But it's from Post, and yeah, they're like Cheerios, but they got like these little crunchy things in the middle that just take it to the next level.
Okay, that sounds
And they're
pretty
never on
good.
sale though, so I don't get them too often. I usually just get what's on sale, because cereals was like you see them on the shelf and like $5 a box, but
I
then
know.
every store that always has a deal where it's like buy 5 of these for $1 each, and you can't turn that down.
Yeah, but like
And
how low on the cereal tier are you going? You're not buying 5 boxes of grape nuts because they're on sale, are you?
no, it's usually like Captain Crunch.
Okay.
That's usually the one on sale.
But that usually cuts the top of the mouth, doesn't it?
Yeah, yep. That's what you get. What you pay for.
All
But
right.
they're tasty.
They are tasty. They
Or you
have the
can let
little.
them. Are you like you can let them soak in the milk a little longer.
I was never really into that. There were when I lived in Brooklyn, there was a place that sold, what was it? It was a ice cream made out of like soggy cereal milk, or it was like literally drinks made out of soggy cereal milk. I can't understand that one. Are you a big soggy cereal milk flavor person?
No, I usually can't wait, so I'll just put the milk in and still eat it crunchy, and maybe by the end of it, there's a little bit of less crunch, but it's never soggy.
Okay. All
But
right.
I don't even think I'd like the soggy cereal, but I don't know. You gotta have your dairy somehow.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I think that's a great way to wrap it up. So thank you, Lex. I'll let you get back to your job in software, which you've been neglecting for the past hour here. And
I've been neglecting it more than the past hour, but yeah, I do need to focus a little bit.
But anyway, I wish you well, and thank you for making the time. And until the next time.
Yeah, until the next time, appreciate it. Talk to you soon.